spend time together. But we've had some changes with our technology platform. And I don't know about you, but sometimes technology is a challenge for me, trying to figure it all out, especially new stuff. So we were thinking that this would be a perfect time to really have us all come together and kind of, we've been in it, we've been using it for a few weeks, just talk about kind of what we've learned, or even talk about questions that we have, how to do particular things. So we asked Tony to come in and help do a training. So kind of how we tee this up is that Tony will kind of go through some particular topics that we think are most important, at least questions we have, and then we can all add to those questions, right, as we go through here, and then Shay will add some demonstration for us too. So the first thing is, the 1Pass rolled out for us, and 1Pass is a password manager, and so M. Gale and Associates selected this system really to provide a secure place for all company users to store various passwords and other sensitive information. So you'll use your 1Pass to get into Office 365. You'll use your 1Pass to get into Salesforce. Eventually, Shay was reminding us as well that we can add like the foundation directory in there. We can add donor search and any other kind of multiple platform SurveyMonkey that we have that'll allow you to get securely into the system. So for me, that was like an aha moment when I realized that, okay, when I get into my computer every morning, I just have to go to my 1Pass and open up through 1Pass where I need to go to. The other thing I realized is that you really want to shut it down every night. Looking at you, because we had a little. We had an issue between the two of us, not a big one, but a computer thing. And we realized it was the shutting down, because then it just. I don't know. And when you say shutting down, you mean like close out everything? Yeah.
Close out of your tabs. Yeah, close out your tabs.
It's kind of
So if anything changes while you're logged in, those permissions won't be applied to you. So for instance, if you're logged in and you stay in, and then tonight Laura gives you permissions to another client folder, you're probably not going to see it in the morning, because you need to be logged out and logged back in for those permissions to take effect so that you can then see the folder. So
it's a matter of logging back in.
Right.
So it's just a good practice every day when you're out.
Sometimes that works too. Sometimes.
It's just a good practice. I know when I worked at ACH, we had 400 employees, and our IT department always encouraged us to put our computers and stuff to sleep, and then kind of log on in the morning. So that's just something to share with that regard.
Literally just closing the tab, like keeping Chrome open still, but just closing the tab and starting a new tab.
Yeah, I always actually click sign out. I'll click the little upper right hand corner and tell it to sign out, and then close the tab.
Does it have to be done that way, or does Xing out?
It can work if you X out. It seems cleaner and more reliable if you actually log out to do that. Today I'm going to show you guys a way to, especially for associates, to kind of manage the different, because like I'm sure some of you have other customers you log into as well, and you'll have different email accounts, and it probably gets kind of crazy trying to manage the different accounts, the different tabs, and there's a couple of them I've logged in, and I'll see 50 tabs across the top. So I'll show you a way using Chrome.
So can you go back where you mean? You can log in and see there's 50 tabs. So you can log into our computers, or when you were doing it?
When I was working on your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. You would never log into a computer without permission.
Okay.
And you would know if I logged into a computer without permission.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything I use broadcasts that I'm here.
Okay.
So is there anything else you want to talk about 1Pass?
Well, so everybody should have it. Associates should see a vault called Associates. It's currently empty, but that's where the SurveyMonkey and those kinds of things will start to show up.
No clue which problem.
Under 1Pass. So
where do we even log into 1Pass? It's only to do that.
Okay, you go to onepass.com, and that's how we had set you up, with onepass.com.
Do you just open up your browser? And did you have it as an icon?
So what I did for the associates was I gave them the option. Some of you put the app in. Some of them just wanted to be able to log into it so that they can use it from the web browser.
Oh, right there, right
rather than
there.
install the software. So there's
Okay.
there's more than one way that it's working, but if you go into 1Password, you log in with that master password we created, and you should see the vaults in there. If you have the app like what Shay is doing up there, that'll, yeah. So some of you have your own password managers too, so that was another reason why not to install it, so they don't fight with each other.
So yeah, that you made a good point, Anna, is that that's the only password I need to know now. You know,
Correct.
and kind of getting into my locked computer, but you know, I can just get in and put that in.
Is that?
So-
Oh, you're in Office 365 now.
So you'll
1Password,
see-
you're somewhere else.
On mine, I have like 150 passwords saved.
So the key point here is that you log in to 1Pass, and all of you have yours set up a different way for you to get into it. And then you put in your password where it says password, right?
Right. Right. And then you log in. So because everybody has been set up, when you do this, it should log you all the way into 1Password, and then you should be able to see your vault. So it doesn't matter if you go through the app or through the browser, you'll see the vault listed in there.
So the vault is just,
On that page, you'll see where it says vaults.
She's just, yeah.
So Shay's getting logged into it right now. So there's all the vaults.
Theirs doesn't look like that.
Well, it looks like that.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't.
Click the upper left-hand icon.
So, okay, I also just.
That's
found out
probably
different,
more like what they're
like-
seeing.
Is this what you're
Say,
seeing, Anna?
No, okay, so say, Barbara, yours just did the same thing I did, like, say I'm in a document, or I'm in a page right here, and I'm wanting to open up 365. If I do it here, assume that's not 365, it's not listed here, but if I open up a new tab, then click that, then it's there, you see what I'm saying? But then, so that's what it looks like for me, is this a vault, is that the vault? So it's just not called a vault, I've
And
never
that's-
seen the word vault.
And Barbara has hers, isn't that Office 365?
Yes, but that's not,
Anna, can you turn it your screen?
what you can see, oh, there's the word
see,
vault.
Yeah.
this is what came up, right?
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Is that a vault?
There's where's the search button for it?
So it's just,
Again, it's the difference between the website and the app.
when I just click my password, it didn't show up there.
And that's a vault?
I really like having mine on a browser that you can click
Oh, yeah,
right
that's how I'm
into.
doing
Like
it.
crazy.
But if
Yeah.
I click a new tab, then click 1Pass, then my little Office 365
You
option
can
is there.
search for it. Go back to the other tab where, like, say you go to Microsoft to log in. Where was it? That
I'm not
Like the new
seeing
tab,
your vault's not there.
SharePoint.
Wherever you
I
have
I was
been.
pretty sure I put you in there.
When you go to log in and you click on that My Pass
Oh,
or whatever, you can search right up here and find it.
oh, it is just like that.
Yeah, so what I do is I go to my home to log in, and then I start typing in Microsoft, and it pulls up my password, so you don't have to like go
Yeah,
around it,
right,
right?
there you
So yeah, you are in there. It's right there. I don't know why it's
Yeah.
not showing up under this.
And then Anna,
go.
like, do you get,
Because it's empty. That's why it's not showing up there. But that is the 1Password.
I just had mine set
I have
up
no
on a
idea where
browser.
you got.
do you get
There's a little
I click
this
there,
little
and I
icon
can edit.
Push
right
on that,
there?
And that pulls me right up into it.
I don't know, I just
And then I
opened
put
it
my
as
password.
like,
Okay.
I can go there.
Okay, you can do it either way. Like,
So Survey Monkey and stuff's gonna show up
I
in
don't
there.
have to write anything in, I just click on it.
Which, of course, right now it's not in there. It
Just, I mean,
doesn't
there's
show
different
you.
ways to figure it out.
What is this?
Your Office 365
have
login.
that, you should be able to just
Oh, okay,
click that and then.
so that's just going to like.
And I created a.
So like if you went to like
I
once we
created this
did
for you if you want to
research and
use
all
it
that
for
moved over, if you like went to
stuff that you can put in
different.com,
there that
you
nobody else
should
can
be able
see.
to just click that icon
But that's MGA
It's like
related.
multiple
Yeah.
different ways of
Right.
entering.
It's all MGA related.
All of this, yeah, I would put it in
I mean,
Okay.
personal.
This is everything I pull up on here, that icon is showing up. Right,
Right. Yes.
so if you click it, it takes that password and stores it.
Oh, okay.
If you tell it to,
So,
yes.
like,
That's
if
what makes
you
sure.
are.
Because I'm seeing it show up on everything that I did.
If you tell it to,
Uh,
yes. Or we can remove this
There's a
part.
couple of different
All you do is go to
ways to
OnePassword.com,
get what you
log
want to do.
in,
So
and come to
she
this place.
will
But when
And
she
you can
go
run it.
here and type in, go to Microsoft,
No, I
and
know
then go.
You knew that?
Yeah.
Because right now, what I'm
So that
doing.
works. You can either search
Right
in
now,
here and do
I'm
it,
just gonna do-
or if you're,
have access to like all.
Right, it's just memorized.
if you're on this page, then you can just click this
And that-
little
and
icon.
OnePass just love the
I-
drop.
I only see my,
I thought it was.
So the comment that was, I mean, since this is really all I'm using, do I really need to go through one password?
But that's
to do all that?
feedback,
Yeah.
I mean.
Should,
and
yeah,
talk
should
about
I
it.
go to the little icon?
the only thing
Place
is
to go
like, I
here?
feel pretty, so like
Will
I
all
be
these
on
show
training.
up?
Well,
And
it's,
then you
it's,
can
it's
type
really
in
clear.
there.
You did just
But,
use one
so
password.
my
But it's
Because
just
you
not-
have the little plugins installed on yours, so when you went there, it just
look
it
for
had a little
Isn't it
little
these?
icon next to it. It did do it for you.
I was
rather
like,
than
oh,
you
Yeah,
have-
so you just press go.
You mean where you were, so
Right, but I usually go through my bar here.
Yeah, and you can do it that way.
Here and Evolve.
Right, yesterday I was talking to.
It's
That
like the
works-
higher
that works that way.
dimensions, so you have all vaults,
Yeah.
you have a private line that you can put your stuff in.
It was
then you have an
something with
associate
one.
one.
Short and I don't remember.
So-
Okay, so what I'm hearing you saying is that it's probably really good for you to have access to your.
Yeah.
Client.
Because
These
you're
all
thinking
mine.
of like,
These are
oh, when I
like
did
a-
that there, what was that
document.
portion?
No, it's just like, I have a vault for things that I share with Missy, so we share passwords to things that you guys don't have access to.
What we did.
Then
we just
Hannah and I have a vault that we share passwords that you guys don't have
So what
access
we would
to.
have to do is go
So
back
it's like,
and
'cause I mean, I have,
change
you know,
permissions.
all of the logins to all the
Which, if
finances
you're
and
telling
all
us
that
it's really
stuff.
important to you
So,
that you especially
like,
those last
it's just
few
sections
years,
by what
you
you're
would
doing.
even
The last
do
12
that.
months or
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Would you be
On
okay
the
with
side,
that?
I
would
just
say
got a
maybe
note
back
from
to
the
you.
Mary Bones at
Or whatever,
MOPD.
yeah,
I didn't know if we
But
had
as long as.
I haven't-
Finish that check.
And not-
Oh,
I don't
yes.
think you'll find a link.
Yes.
And then it's also more than just.
We can do it after this, but anyway.
I do have a copy of
She
it.
says she
There's
thinks
so
there's a
many
second name on that.
You know, I'm so, oh, this was writing about.
I can scan it and email it to you,
It's not like.
If
If
you
you need an email.
to her. Okay.
You ready? You feel like we got one pass?
There should be a plus.
The one thing I did want to talk about with OnePass, which I think is on next,
So this makes it deal.
is with the changing of the Salesforce.
Yes. Perfect. So, Sales, what we found is that Salesforce requires you to change, we did know this, that they needed to change, that you need to change your password every 3 months for security purposes in Salesforce. We thought that Salesforce would sync with OnePass, and we haven't figured out how quite to make that happen yet.
It's not smooth.
It's
at
not
all.
smooth. So, and I found that because I got locked out, and Karen found it because she got locked out. You had a better experience changing it than I did.
Right.
It might be just the user, but okay. Well, so what we're giving you a heads up about is all of you are in Salesforce. It's about that time where it will say that you need to change your password.
Yeah.
Work with Tony on that so that he can help you with that transition. Because, and he'll write some instructions down for us on how to do that until we can figure out a way that the two systems can sync. Am I explaining that correctly, Shay and Tony?
And after I do it a couple more times with other people, I'll start to figure out exactly what, because it, OnePass is supposed to have the ability that when a password changes, you just tell it change password, and it's supposed to do that. But Salesforce goes, no, I don't agree with that, and so that's where the problem is. So it actually creates a second login in your OnePass, and then you have to copy paste things.
I just did mine too, but I had to do that workaround and just keep making stuff up until it finally worked. I don't know what I did, but it worked.
Right. Well, and that's another thing too is with OnePassword, and this is one of the things we want to start trying to use. OnePassword will create a password for you, and that's where it's broke with Salesforce. Is it creates the password, but it only puts it in the top part. It won't put it in the bottom part, and then it creates a whole nother entry. So, but it creates a a really long, crazy, nobody really memorized password. So it's super secure. So again, I'll probably have to do a couple more to get it to where I know that it's
So
the
are you
exact
wanting
steps.
us to use that super long
The more
password
complex, the better. Yes.
So-
in Salesforce? But okay.
Yes.
So you're saying for Salesforce, we're not using 1Pass right now?
We are,
Oh,
but
you are.
it's buggy, is what
It's
what
just
we're
slower.
saying.
So either
Right,
way-
so you're gonna have to call me.
I was gonna say, I'll
Right.
call you when it's done.
Right.
So I
exactly.
like that.
That's why I
That
was
is-
just saying, well, I'll help you after
I
this.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes, but once
Um,
he sets that up for you, you will can get to Salesforce through your 1Pass.
Correct. You'll just be able to click it and it'll go right in there.
Like you
To
are.
be honest, it's supposed to be like easy for everyone. Like nobody has to remember any passwords and it's secure and there's no passwords written down and it's not like the same as the 57 other logins that you have. And so I've been using it for about 6 months and it really does make things so much easier. All I know is my one password and everything else is scribbled out there. And if I get logged out of Microsoft, Tony can let me back in. If you end up getting locked out of Salesforce, I can get you back in. It's not the end of the world, but we really, really want to keep it in 1Pass for the security and for the ease of use. And once you get the hang of it, it really does make it so much easier. Like, it's awesome.
We believe you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
And I've been putting together little videos of a lot of stuff that's common, and I created a SharePoint site called Technology Knowledge Base, and I'll be throwing stuff up there. Everybody's
Is that
been
the one you
shared.
shared with us today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I shared that out this morning to everybody. There's some documents in there. There's some things that we're not doing yet, but like for instance, one of the things that was brought up to me recently is calendars on your phones, especially. Some people were putting things on there in the native app for iPhone, and it wasn't syncing over into your calendar. It was going somewhere else. And then someone mentioned, well, when I had Google, I just had a Google app that did that. So I started looking. Outlook has an Outlook app, and I've created a document on how to install the Outlook app on your phone and get logged into it. That just seems to be a better way to manage the calendars, because I know a lot of you are, you've got a lot of things that you're juggling during the day, and then to have your work stuff in there on top of, everything else you're trying to get done, to differentiate can be a little difficult. So I recommend using the Outlook app.
When you click on it, is your mail and then your calendar?
Your mail is there, and then there's a button for the calendar.
So then how do I sync that with my Gmail or my Google account?
You
It won't
would-
let you.
It would still say separate. So
It
then
would be
okay.
separate. It would be separate. But again, I thought, I think it was it you, Laura, that was saying that that you had you were saying that you had your husband's calendar, your kids, and everything else, and then on top of it was all mixed in there.
It used to be
NGA,
separate.
right? And
Those
she
were the
prefers it to
Google
be
app.
separated. And I think Barbara was saying that when she was creating events, they weren't syncing up to her calendar; they were going somewhere else. Was it you, or was it?
It was me, just because I have another calendar on
Right.
here, but for me, since this is my, I want it all on one, so it's a preference.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, that's
I don't
figuring,
manage
but in
all
order to do that, you do have to tell it which calendar to put it in when you're creating it on the phone. However, if you use the Outlook app, it's simple. You put your
So-
calendar up, you put it in there, and it syncs.
So
Because
there's
that's the only account associated to it.
so your iPhone comes with a Outlook
calendar.
calendar.
Not Outlook.
It comes
Yeah,
with
it's
a
just a
native
native.
iOS calendar,
Okay, so you're saying to download an Outlook calendar.
If
an
you
Outlook
want,
app, if you want, correct.
you don't have to. You can have that as your primary calendar.
Although,
Yeah.
you and I
Which one?
talked about this,
Here,
it works
Barb.
fine on the native one.
It does.
I
It
have
does.
Google and
No, I
Outlook.
agree. I
So,
agree.
hold on,
But I
hold
think
on.
what we're talking about is mostly a preference on how you want to manage your calendar. Because some people, they have 6 or 7 calendars in their phone. They'll have
That's how I've got
right.
it.
and so it can become difficult to manage all those calendars inside one calendar.
Well, and the
On the
difference
phone.
is what I'm viewing it from versus where I'm putting the events into.
That's
Like,
correct.
if it's personal, I have to go through Google to enter in an event. If it's work, I have to go through Outlook to enter an event, and then I can go to my iPhone calendar and it's all there.
Right, but if you're wanting to create an event on your phone,
I can do that too, yeah.
right, but you have to pay attention to which
Right.
calendar you drop it in. And what I'm saying about the Outlook app is you just open the Outlook app, go to the calendar, drop it in there, and it's there.
Okay, so when we first started this, Karen and Barbara shared their calendars with me.
Mhm.
So that is on my,
You just wanna check them.
Right, so when you go to, if you go to your Outlook right now that you have on Office 365 and uncheck them, so you're not viewing them.
right, I'm not. But is that, I mean, so we were sharing calendars before. Are we sharing calendars now?
If you're not there yet, yeah, no, we were gonna talk about that. We
Okay,
do
that's
want
fine.
to share
That's fine.
calendars,
So let
absolutely.
me see what your Outlook.
So
Okay, I got
everybody's
it.
encouraged to share calendars, that's good,
So
Barbara.
this is the difference.
Okay, so you're
Can you
saying
show me what it
on
looks like on the
calendar,
It's this
and
app.
you think it's better.
And so
Yeah,
I think,
can do
I
it
think,
all.
I think that if you're gonna create an event on your phone, like you're on the fly, you know you gotta get it in there. You don't have your computer, you gotta get it in there. And if creating those events has been an issue for you, so that they sync back to your computer, use the app.
okay,
Because the app's
so
simple. Click the app open, go to the calendar, boom.
And I-
It only goes there. It
And
doesn't.
get Google in there.
this one,
Google sync it.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is
Oh, you're saying.
I'm saying it makes it simple, so you know for a fact that when you create that event, it's going to MGA.
But I mean, that, you're saying that's only one calendar. I don't
That's
have
only
a
one
personal-
correct. Correct.
Oh, okay, so I can't have a personal and a work calendar that way.
You could put it in there, but what I'm saying, I'm
She's
trying
trying
to
to get
simplify.
one word.
Yeah, I'm trying to simplify
Okay, I see.
for some users who don't like to open the native app and click
Right.
it and then choose a calendar and then use that. I'm just showing you another way to do it. You
That
can,
makes sense.
because I've heard more than once. Well, on my phone, I used to just open up the Gmail app and create my event.
Right.
Right. That's what this Outlook app does. You just open up the Outlook app, create your event.
And it will do it on your native iPhone app if it's your primary calendar.
Right. Correct.
So let's go back to calendars. So our standard procedure is we would like for everyone to share calendars. So you really have to go in and share your calendar with everyone. Okay.
You have to initiate that. We
You have to
set-
initiate
yeah.
that, or
Can we
somebody
do it
else.
one at a
initiates.
time, or can we share it with the whole? One at a time.
Good for you.
And then we have to accept it.
And click it,
Right.
to get it on.
And then you have to, and then you need to take it off if you don't want to see it. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if everybody, yeah.
Oh, I shared mine with Laura.
Yeah.
And I'll create a.
Including associates.
I can create a. I'll create a video on that one too.
Okay.
Sharing, and then I'll create a video on the calendar stuff.
On sharing calendars, yeah.
Yep, I'll put a video on.
So that would be something we want everybody to do, share calendars, that'd be great.
So we have all new emails. So where are those located? Or do we just go through the email address?
Can you address that? They're all the,
So you have all your email was migrated. So all your
Right.
emails should still be in your box. You should be able to see all of that. Used to be most of you had just your first name at mgalassociates.com. So now you have both. Your old mail still travels in. So if anybody's still emailing you at the old email address, this still is dropping into your box. When you reply, it replies with the first name dot last name at mgal. They should, if you open up your Office 365 and you go to Outlook, that's what you're in as. You're in as first name dot last name at mgalassociates.com.
So that's not going away anytime soon. So right
No.
now, if I say I'm going to share my email with Jill, I can still use Jill at mgalassociates.com.
you don't, yeah, you want to.
You want to try using the last name, first dot last name.
It should auto pop because we're all in the same, so when you start typing in Jill, it should pull up the right one, right?
Well, we've been working with
We've
Tony
been
on it. There's
seeing
a
that.
little bit of a glitch yet
Right.
for that, but we're trying to work that out so that when you pull it up, it.
It depends on how you were created in the system. So some of you were in the system before we even migrated because they were being used for licensing, and those were just first name at mgalassociates.onmicrosoft.com. And so that's, for a while, those were even populating still. So Microsoft's figuring everybody out. It's starting to populate correctly. But
So when we go into calendar now, where is it that how do you share it?
Up in the right-hand corner, there should be a share.
What if we don't have a calendar on that? We don't have a calendar on
You dismiss.
see where I clicked down there?
Oh, right there.
So there's your mail.
And then you just pull it up.
Contacts.
Yeah.
I think it's the
And I,
task.
and I can't
Yeah.
just do Anna.
There.
I will do that.
Yeah, it'll pop
And then you
up.
hit that share button right there.
Okay, so cool.
Okay.
And then you
Thank you. We're gonna start printing on the new format, but I don't know when yet.
Start sharing the
That's a
calendar
good,
out. Yep.
so,
So you're Anna Dale Robillard in their system now?
yeah,
Yeah, because she actually has 2 accounts in there. So I had to.
so we're migrating, so since Ann is an associate now, we're moving her over to a new address.
So please do use her first last name,
I just
Mine
did
because
just
she is
that,
not going to see it
Yeah.
if you don't.
So I just did Anna Dale Robillard because this one.
Yes.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
Ann.
Okay, got it.
No, it's Ann Adele.
The email is
Correct.
Ann. Okay, but what you just said is if I email Ann@Ann@NGill, she doesn't get it, it's not forwarding to her?
She's the exception to the rule.
Okay, but so mine,
Yours still goes.
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
and then how long is that?
So that will continue, but as Laura was just saying, once you're out of your business card, can you share?
Okay, once it's time to get new business cards, they'll get the new email address on them. But, so it's gonna be a while. I mean, there's no plans to move that
Oh, okay, so
right
right
now.
now.
We got our new ones that long.
So they can like, their signature line or email?
Yeah, there's no, they don't have an expiration date on it.
But when you're emailing outbound now, it's gonna have Anna.Hammons.
It looks
It's
like
not
that.
going to be Anna.
Right.
Correct.
Oh, Anna.
That is correct.
Okay, so we've talked a little bit about
So you
email.
we still do you too as far as the share calendar.
Yeah.
So we talked about calendars. We'd like for everybody to share everyone else's calendar, so that's fabulous. We talked a little bit about email. Can you go over email a little bit? As far as we talked about your email address.
Right. So everybody has their email address. Everybody can get into email. Another issue that was coming up was how to share an attachment, how to send an attachment out in an email. Right now, the way we're doing it is we're sending them as a copy. So I did create a video on that, but I can kind of.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Are you? Okay.
Can we wait till we get through the video?
Where did it go?
Oh, Barbara's OneDrive. Okay, that's what's wrong. No, it's broken.
See where.
No. Remember when we were talking for 30 minutes yesterday afternoon?
It's not it's broken.
I don't know how it happened.
All right.
Okay,
So there's my little video that I made, and that's accessible on that site. So
so to start a new email message.
right. Click a new email. You go to 2. You of course fill it out who you're sending it to. I'm moving slowly in the video on purpose.
While you're doing this, can y'all explain what the problem is or was that has caused y'all to do this solution?
There's not a problem. It's just trying to teach everybody how to do it.
Oh, well, y'all
Right.
said there was an issue with.
There's an issue with it, yeah.
So what was the issue?
I can't get into SharePoint to attachments.
Okay,
It's like
so
not even letting me in there.
Yeah, we'll have to look and see why that is, because you should be able to see. You see how I went to groups, and then I clicked on the SharePoint, and it attaches the document. And I was.
Two groups.
It took a while.
We were talking.
was-
And then you have to click
Yeah.
you see that
I
down
just
arrow?
realized
You have to
this
click the
is-
down arrow and tell it to attach as a copy. And now it's taken it and it's detached it away from SharePoint,
Oh.
attached it as a copy.
so
and
can
then
you do a live demonstration?
or redo, I just didn't realize
That's
this
what
was
I'm
the
saying.
video.
It is.
I
And you
Yeah,
can
we're
live
talking.
demonstration.
And they can start over.
If they're talking, she can do it through live demonstrations. You can talk for your stuff.
I'm gonna be putting a lot of videos on that site. So,
On what side?
so I created a SharePoint site.
Oh, okay, okay.
What's
Sure.
your
I created a SharePoint site.
Can we watch new message?
This is the video.
Okay, so
You can
this
send
is
it to me
Shay's
if you want.
walking you through it. There's two ways you can do an attachment though. If you notice up next to the send button up there, you can attach there, or you can attach below. Okay, there's two places. And then when she pulls that up, look, you can go, what I've found is that it will bring up your most recent document that you worked on, which I think is really helpful. Typically, that's what you're trying to send.
Although I never trust that that's the right one.
Well, it's
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
on the same
That's true.
one. There's
Okay.
only supposed to be one version, lady.
And
over
then
there.
if you're working.
It's all from
Oh,
love.
Shay.
Version lady.
If you're, so like if you're.
It's all from love.
Can I just say, if I'm sending an
No.
agenda to Sally Sharney for our meeting tomorrow, I'm just in it and I've updated it, I'm getting ready to send, and I go to my email, and when I pull up kind of that, trying to find where it is, it's gonna pull up that one that I was
Last
just
one.
in. And so I know that's the one that I just worked in. That's easy. If it's not exactly there, you can browse your computer, or browse the cloud.
Yeah.
You're gonna do-
So you can do the recents, or you can go to the groups and go into the
Different buttons.
different buckets, or just the files.
Yeah.
You know, however you want to do it.
And then can you attach?
Yes. So then attach.
Doing it this way is different. It asks you how you want to send it. You want to attach as a copy. And you can tell it to remember your choice, so it'll always remember, but attach as a copy.
And it's not a live document.
At that point, it is not.
Right.
It is no
So-
longer
The
in
cloud is
share.
the one that says it's a live
Let me
document.
show you what happens when you attach it as the SharePoint link. It will say anybody can edit, or it'll tell you the location, and then
Right there.
Yeah, that one is cloud.
if you push attach as a copy, it shows you how large the
And
document
the cloud
is,
goes away.
and the cloud goes away.
So this is what we're doing right now. We are doing attaching as a copy currently. We will move to attaching a live link once we have instruction on the end user and us on how to do that.
So I have a question. How do you, I've been sitting here trying to do this right here because I owe a client some documents. They're in the right place in the client folder as Word documents. I want them to be PDFs to send to the client, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it, and I cannot do it without downloading it to my computer, which I know you do not want me to do.
That
How do you?
that
Which
is.
what? They don't.
There's
She wants
not
to
a.
convert her files
There's
to
not a
a
convert
PDF.
to PDF. You will have to do it.
There-
that way.
There is another way to do it.
Have you seen a way to do it without
There is, but I
touching?
can't think about it right now. Sorry. There is a,
Now, maybe if you open
Yeah.
it, maybe if you open the document itself and
Yeah.
go file
there is.
send, if you actually
Yeah.
open the document.
Or hit save as. I did that, save as. and
What I'm
download
Yeah.
it.
doing is download as PDF, but it goes to
No,
my
It
computer.
says,
I don't know what ODT means. Download is ODT.
If you just
What
say
does that
that,
mean?
you can do a save as.
Well, that's the same. Say
but you can't change it to PDF there. is what I'm saying.
There is another way to convert it to a PDF.
Oh, you can
while you're in
download it as a
SharePoint.
PDF. You can download it as a PDF.
Yeah.
Right, and it goes to the
Right.
computer.
To send it.
Oh, it's
Oh,
downloaded.
yes,
And that's what I do.
So can we investigate this and hopefully
Yes.
find and give you some instruction and steps on that? Thank you for bringing that up. We had an issue with that earlier, and you did it like 3 different ways. So there's like anything in here, there's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah.
So,
But I just want to reiterate, right now, 99% of what we're sending to clients is going to be attached as a copy. I'm working on one thing that I'm sending to a client because it's the setting of the interviews for a feasibility study where we have to do a live, and this is my first time working through it with them. So
So can you tell me why do you want to send it as a link? What's the purpose of that?
that's a good question. Can you explain why you would want to send it as a link?
send it as a live link.
Yeah.
So the only reason is if you want to collaborate with them on it and you want them to have access. And so that's why I say most of the time we're not. Right now, I'm doing it because I'm creating one of the spreadsheets with interview availability where we have to collaborate on setting interviews. I can't think of another reason right now that we would need to do that.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
Yeah,
I didn't
And we don't wanna
understand
do that like right now, because we wanna practice it once or twice before, because it's a little bit more they're gonna have to log in on their side to get access to it. We wanna make sure we have really proper instructions.
So I was hearing it differently. I thought you said all documents go out as a link.
As
So
a
that
copy.
was
Yeah.
my,
And just to clarify, when you're saying right now, we're doing copies, when we're not doing links, other than for the exception, you're talking about between us and external people,
Yes.
like internally.
Internal, you can-
Okay,
yeah.
making sure.
So you're right, internally, you share a link with anyone that's anybody within the MGIL team, you can share a link.
and
Of course,
we want to, so we can kind of practice.
And have
You
one
don't wanna
version,
send,
because we want one version, right? So if we're sharing internally, we really do want it to be the live version, so we don't have multiple. Yeah.
And of course, if you are internal and you are, well, if everybody has access to the same folder, there's really not a reason to send a copy of it. You can just say, look in the client folder
Yeah,
under
exactly.
Southwest Christian School, and this is the file.
That
Or I
was,
just-
that was my question.
I just
Why-
go
why
to the
was it-
document and I just right
Right.
click it under share and then
It's
send.
a shared
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. you can
Okay.
do that easily.
Okay. Well, I made this harder than it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything else is hard.
Just tell them, go look at the document.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to create the filing structure, so you can get
Right.
it and you can easily do it, or you can share it that way.
Because it's just like in the old days of servers. SharePoint is just like having a server at a company, any places you guys have ever been. You just go to the folder, and there it is, and everybody can see that folder and work on it. You don't have to email it or anything. You just say it's in the folder. It's in the accounting folder. There it is.
My question is, what is the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive?
Perfect timing.
Okay, yes.
Perfect segue.
So
Thank you.
Is there something on here that said that?
That's the
no,
next topic.
that's the next
Oh,
talking
very
point.
good.
So-
I didn't really look ahead, so.
So, at first we were like telling everybody, stay out of OneDrive, don't touch OneDrive, don't use OneDrive. But Microsoft really forces OneDrive at you. You'll click and there's OneDrive. You'll click over here and there'll be a little icon for OneDrive. OneDrive is part of the SharePoint. It's part of the Office 365 SharePoint ecosystem. It comes in handy. It's sometimes it's real good for managing or dragging around files. If you find you're in a place where it's taking you to OneDrive and your file is there, go ahead and use it. But as much as possible, try and stay inside SharePoint, just for ease of use, and so we all know where everything is. On that team site, I created a Visio slide.
I think a point.
So-
So like if you're on an email, let's say I sent, I am Key Center and I'm sending you a document, Barbara, and I send it to you by email, and then you save that document, you open it and you want to save it.
Yeah.
When you save it to your OneDrive.
Why?
Because that's where attachments go. Any attachments that you save that are attached to you go to your OneDrive. So there's a little folder in your OneDrive that says attachments. So anything that you save from an email, it will go to your attachments folder on your OneDrive, and then from there you would move it to the appropriate folder.
It won't allow you to go through and share
share.
directly to SharePoint, that's
Right.
why. And you don't really want to have to download it. We don't want to save it on our hard drive. So the option then is to save it to OneDrive.
So, back to my original question, which it was, OneDrive is a cloud-based system that holds all it's like,
So
hold
I
in there,
put,
hold
I
in there.
put, I put a document up there. So SharePoint is the center.
Okay,
See how SharePoint is the center? All your files are in SharePoint. OneDrive, Outlook, Teams, and there's some other things in Microsoft. They all look into SharePoint. So when you're in OneDrive, it's really just a different graphical user interface for SharePoint.
but is it a backup system for all your stuff?
It's just a different, it's just like the difference between using Chrome, Safari, and Explorer to go to, somebody's website.
Okay,
You're just using a different way to get to the same information.
With the exception of the
With the
attachments that you download.
Right.
When you download attachments from your email or you download something, it'll go to that OneDrive attachments folder.
Which is
And you're
yours.
the only one who
Nobody
has
else
that.
can see it.
So it doesn't automatically go into shared drive,
No,
like what's
you
in
have to move
OneDrive is not in shared drive.
So one of the differences is that in OneDrive you do have a private section. SharePoint doesn't have a private section. SharePoint is like a network drive. OneDrive does have a shared, a more or less a private area that's just
It's
you.
like my drive.
Yeah,
Has
it's
has
like my
anybody used
drive.
OneDrive before? I mean, it's not been on a computer forever.
Yeah, it's just
Has
like
anybody-
it's like
Okay.
Dropbox or anything else. It's the
Okay.
same.
Well,
It's the same as
that's what I'm
Dropbox or-
asking, because it's been on there for
Yeah.
a long time. Why did we
So-
use it?
It's just it's part of the whole package. We can't pull it out.
I just
Right.
needed to understand it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, thank you.
That's really good.
Right. Yeah. If you have something in OneDrive, it's not breaking
Can
anything.
you do an
or-
example of
It's
downloading?
just looking at it.
So
a
do you
different way.
see there's two things on the download from the email. There's one that's like a little arrow, and then there's one with an arrow and a line. You want to go to the one with the bigger arrow right there, where she is at the end. And you can see that it says save to OneDrive.
So you'll press that. Then
So
it did it.
OneDrive, MGL and Associates.
No, your OneDrive.
So then if you go over to your OneDrive, mine's really messy, so pay no mind. But,
There's an
and then you go to
folder.
attachments and then see how it has those little springs next to it? That means it's new to the folder.
I mean, she just
That means I
downloaded it.
just downloaded
So
it.
can you do an example now? Now let's say, Shay, don't go out of that. You want to move that over to a folder in SharePoint. You go to where those three dots are.
Sorry,
Can
I
you
went
go
too
back?
fast,
Some people
yeah.
call it the hamburger, the little 3 dots.
Do you know where those dots are, everybody?
Right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
Press
skim
that.
over them, and then it says move to. And then you click in there, and you can click where you want it to go to.
Wherever.
Why would you?
Is that
do
on
this?
shared drive?
Well, say it's
SharePoint?
a client sent you a file and you do need to move it to the client folder. So after you send it to your attachments, you
Oh, that's
review
how
it,
you have to do it.
you know that you
okay.
need to move it over there, then you move it.
So it's anything that has this, that means it's your SharePoint. So these are your
Those are your
SharePoint.
SharePoints.
So when I click on to client engagement, that's moving it from my OneDrive attachments kind of hold folder to whatever the org it needs to fall into. So if it was a client, then you would just,
Alright, so, what is the difference? I get like the physical difference of OneDrive versus like downloading to my hard drive, but like, what is the benefit to downloading to OneDrive and then adding it over to SharePoint versus downloading it into my downloads and then adding it over to SharePoint? Like, what's the difference? or
if, like,
advantage?
say there were multiple people on the email and you downloaded it and then moved it and somebody else added it to their OneDrive and moved it, then there's two different ones because you downloaded one and that one was moved, so it broke the link between the original share.
Yeah, I did not know
So,
that.
but if we've got something that someone's, I'm following where you're headed. So if there's something we need to work on and it goes into SharePoint and we can't, for some reason, are locked out of SharePoint, if it was on our computer, we could work on it, right?
No,
Well, no, I'm just
If we
wondering-
downloaded it to our
Yeah,
computer. we
but you
could.
don't want to
Yes.
because then you're not in a shared document.
You're not in a live
Yeah, but
environment.
but I'm not, if we're not sharing, if it's just, we've got something that's going back and forth that we're working on.
Well, if it's
I got
going
it.
back and forth.
Right,
You
it's
really
the back
wanna
and
do-
forth side, if it's,
Mhm.
got it.
But the good thing about using OneDrive versus downloading is that's still a cloud-based system.
Yeah.
So there's we have it. So it's not just on a computer or something
Right,
that happened to
right.
it. So that's why we're trying to really push the OneDrive. And what Shay, I think, was saying was, if say I send an email, now it's not internal, a client sent an email to 2 associates, and you download it to your computer and then put it up in SharePoint, and Barbara takes it and puts it in her OneDrive and then moves it to SharePoint. Now we have 2 different versions. Whereas if you both took it to the right way to OneDrive and then to SharePoint, it would recognize it as being the same thing and we would have one version. Is that right? Yeah, so that's why we want to follow the system as much as possible on putting it in the attachment, it would automatically OneDrive and the attachments, and then you just move it to SharePoint.
What makes it a different version when it goes to my computer? Oh, okay, so I'm not, I'm not like arguing with the system, I'm just trying to understand
It's-
how it
Yeah,
works.
we-
I think,
like
and
how it
I
all
think the even
links.
bigger issue to that is what was said earlier too. If you downloaded it to your computer and then you spill coffee on your computer,
Yeah, the other thing that
Yeah.
we're trying to get to is just
Right.
what's a standard practice? Because there are a lot of different ways that we can do things. It seems like so anyway, that's one thing that we're trying to do, and starting with the new system is understanding the system and setting the protocol of the best way
I
to
just
use
think
the system.
It takes a lot of space on your computer to download a big file.
Right. I get all that, but,
yeah, this is pitiful.
I'm
200 gigs.
understanding like why OneDrive, but I just, for me in my world as a sub, I don't think it works as like beautifully clean as we're making it out to be. So I have 9 years worth of documents on my computer. Some are MDL, some are not. I don't just go all in one place when I'm working. I have to do some things over here in SharePoint. Now I'll have some things in OneDrive, and then some things will be in my personal file. You know what I'm saying?
So what we would like to help you with is to make sure, and you've given us feedback about giving you access to older files. We want you to have access to your NGale files through the cloud, not on your computer.
Right, that's
Right,
yeah.
so
I
we
get
want
that.
that clarity of that you can go into NGale and you can get access to those documents and do what you need to do there and have the most up-to-date recent information.
Right, yeah, I got, yeah.
And then for you in your practice, you might have on your hard drive another filing system where you keep other things that you might use as a reference for your work with NGale or whatever. But we want whatever you're doing for NGale to be in the cloud.
But is it like for the OneDrive, am I hearing like this is, like can I eventually, or would it be a goal that I eventually get all of my files in GIL or not into a OneDrive? Like you know how y'all opened up on SharePoint, like here's your personal files and here's your, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
is that a
Yes.
goal to get it all? in
All of your
there?
NGale stuff, yes.
Well, I'm asking non-NGIL.
I'm
I don't know that
a
you'd
former
want-
business
I
owner,
don't know you'd
and
want
I
your
would say
non-
you don't want that in
Yeah,
there.
I don't know why you'd want your
I would never
personal
load
stuff.
my
I'm not
Yeah.
saying on NGL, I'm saying as of, like, even just as you're talking about, like, oh, we have 1 million passwords, and there's some personal, on our calendars, there's some personal, there's one work. Like,
How can you keep
I
your
don't know,
OneDrive
it's
stuff
gonna
separate
make
is what
sense.
you're
Well,
asking?
do you have Gmail? I mean, you would have your own drive. You have your own Google Drive. And your Gmail
Yeah,
for
I
your
have all
business.
that, yeah.
And if you have your own personal OneDrive, you can have 2 OneDrives.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
That's what
Like
I'm
I work
asking.
out of 2 OneDrives.
You wanna
I
keep
have
it on
two.
your
Be
personal-
careful.
Your personal
Whatever.
company
You have
stuff,
to kind of
wanna
be
keep
careful with what you're looking at.
Right, in a
I want
separate
You
OneDrive.
need to find that for yourself.
Yes, that's
Same
what
as
I'm
that- that password. I mean,
Here.
There's things we want
And
shared and one things we
Right.
don't. and
Yeah.
it's confusing.
if you look up there, see how there's the
There you
2 clouds. So one of them is my personal OneDrive, and one of them is my MGale OneDrive.
Right. You can have more than one
I'm not
OneDrive.
there.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
That I'm-
He's near that one.
Right. It actually looks a little simpler on a PC.
And
They're
there
both
should be
flat.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
there's
Sorry.
a different color cloud.
But
Yeah.
to me, that's the issue though about, we really want all your NGale stuff in the client folder. You also have a user folder where you could put other stuff in there that may not be out for the public for everyone,
Right.
but you want to
Your-
keep stuff in
Your
there.
scratch
that's
papers,
NGale. Yeah.
your notes and stuff. You just keep that on your personal MGale stuff, and then when it's ready for collaboration and publication, then you put it in the client
Yeah.
area.
So there is another thing that we found that's really interesting, because we're continuing to learn all the time, is that when you're in the web version, let's say you're working on an agenda for like Salvation, and the agenda is all formatted, it looks really great, but I don't see the logo in the header. It's like, what's the deal here? What we had figured out is it's there, it's just hidden from you. So if you print it, it'll show it, right, when you print it. But another way to get that is through opening your desktop app.
Correct.
So can you go into that?
Okay, just to confirm
yeah,
what you're
yeah,
saying,
so-
so you're talking about like this line right
Yeah,
here?
the line, that's kind of, so when you're looking at a web version,
So it's
it
like,
looks
there's a
different.
line here instead of having a space and you can see the header.
right,
I-
and then you have a logo in there at the top,
Like,
and it's
it's
already
really
embedded and you
better.
can't
Yeah.
see it. The other thing is,
We
it does, the other.
Yeah,
thing is-
we
it
did
doesn't-
extensive Googling and it can't be changed.
Yeah, it's not like Google. But the other thing I noticed is that I don't have as much functionality. So like I would go in and because I'm a terrible speller and I'm like, okay, let's do this. And you only do like one at a time. Well, that's when we realized is that there's to enable more functionality,
Use the desktop,
use the desktop app.
right? Which we wanted to steer away from at the beginning.
Can we, wait, before you don't mind, because I just, sure, so I really
Can
love
I-
your real, so I've got an email with a document for, again, children's cranium. So I'm gonna save it to my OneDrive. I use the big areas, I saved it to OneDrive, then I went to OneDrive, I clicked on attachments, and then I created a file to put it in. Well,
No,
yeah, so,
What you want to do is take it and move it to Cranium.
and I couldn't do that. So is that because I don't have that?
it's because you
file?
have the document open potentially.
Well, what I'm getting is, do I not have that file shared with
So
you?
You may not have that folder
Who
yet.
has the right to give you access?
Laura.
To any file?
Laura,
Laura, okay.
she's
Laura
the,
will
she's
set
the
up
super
all
of the
these-
And
keys.
so
All
when we
files.
open an account and we're on it, that's something that you do right away, or, I mean,
Yeah.
supposed to. But I'm
Yeah.
not calling y'all that, I'm just
No,
saying that.
Laura.
I'm just saying, that is
That's a
the
protocol.
She was here on Sunday figuring that out.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where
I
I'm,
think you
yeah, okay, so
So we haven't
essentially
created
that
that.
file's
Yeah.
there.
So
and then
Laura
put it
will
there.
work with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
just make sure.
So a second follow-up question, once you show us how these documents work, is when I went into resources to look for an agenda thing, because I was trying to find the new agenda look,
The template?
the template. All it said was agenda on it.
So that's an old one. We have it, so this is some of the things that we need to work on our cleanup
Okay,
side.
so I didn't.
So can we we'll show you where those templates are,
Yes.
but I haven't fixed them. I have to go back in and look to see if they're.
So,
Because
hey
my template
Barbara,
for today, for Key Center, is the one that was sent by Karen. I took Karen's and I thought, well, hers is the latest, so I'll do that. But it goes like this.
Well,
Hey,
I
Barbara,
decided
it's
Shane had
because-
to help me with
yeah, so the same thing. It's when we did the migration, the logo was like put into the header on everything. And so when we did the migration, it's not showing up in there. You actually have to like actively go into the header, which is difficult to format on this platform. So this is the web
right out of SharePoint.
right out of SharePoint. This is your web-based Word. Both of the words that I'm going to show you are cloud-based. This is the web, and then if you click right here, open a desktop app, it'll pop up. You press open Microsoft Word, and now you're in your classic Word, but it is still on the cloud.
Still linked to SharePoint.
It is the same. If I'm typing right here, it will reflect it on this one. So this is what we would call the desktop app.
Do we need to, oh, I guess we already have Word.
I'm gonna get there with you, with
If I haven't
everybody.
downloaded the app, will this work or not?
Well,
No,
if you don't have Word on your computer,
Oh, I have Word
no.
on my computer, but I don't have.
that's a complicated
Office.
question that we'll answer individually once we assess each
Got it.
person's associate computer
Right. Depends on
individually.
how your Word is
So,
on your computer.
Okay,
The
so
way
it
that
will
you can
work.
tell that this is still your live document is autosave is on, and the save button has the little recycling sign.
Do you see that?
So right here, autosave is on, and you're continually saving.
Is that an old floppy disk?
That is an icon of an old floppy
That's
disk.
the save.
Seriously.
I saw a meme yesterday that somebody said, "Oh, you 3D printed the save icon."
That's funny.
Wow.
Okay, so both are actively shared. If I am typing on here and I share this, look, you can see Hannah, HT. Hannah's on the document right now. I can share this with Laura or anyone that wants to know the pie delivery schedule.
Yes.
And
But what we're finding in editing, this is the best version. Because you
yes,
can do spell check and it spells the whole document.
you will
Formatting is
Die.
a little better too. It's not so skewed.
you will die fighting charts
Yeah.
in the web
Okay,
platform.
do that once again.
Okay,
Just, okay,
So-
I get the why now, so tell me, just walk us through.
so you're like, oh, I hate
No,
this.
so just close out and start over. Okay, we go in.
Go
and
into
we-
a SharePoint file,
Okay,
so you can show them.
all right. So you're
Okay.
on your office homepage.
Right,
You go into SharePoint.
okay,
You go into your client engagements folder.
okay.
You go to documents.
You have to go to-
Go back.
Okay.
You have to go to documents.
Well-
Go to
yes.
documents.
Not
Yes.
the former
You don't-
client file.
You don't have to, but I recommend highly that you do go to documents because there are
Hold on,
some
sidebar that,
functionalities that are
sidebar that.
different.
Keep that in your mind and we'll come back to it. Okay, so you go to your client folder. I don't know what to do in
Just go
here.
apply right up to the agenda or something.
Yeah.
Pick an agenda.
Pick an agenda.
In the agenda.
Okay, so
There you go.
here is one. It was brought over. We know that this is not what it looked like when Jill sent it to the client on 7/9, right? Because there's no logo, whatever. But there really is.
Okay.
So you go to Open in Desktop app. Click that. Right now, yours may do something different, but we'll assess that with each of you individually. And then go to Open Microsoft Word. And then it will open up your,
Now,
what you would consider to be your classic Word, though it is really still in the cloud. You have not downloaded it to your computer. You have only opened it in the desktop app and you're viewing it and editing it. In this view, you have more formatting capabilities, the spell check, and also the commenting back and forth and the referencing and things like
So
that.
if you're gonna be dual editing and somebody's gonna be adding comments and reviewing and you're editing together, this is where you will do it.
Yes. So one more point on the editing piece.
And then I will have a question.
Yes. And then, okay, so if you have been actively going back and forth and you've made tons of changes and all of it's showing up on the side, before you send it out to anyone, make sure that you come to this review page and go to no markup. It will include the changes when you send it if you don't select no markup.
I think we're gonna need another training
On that.
on the editing piece.
Okay, well
I
that's,
do think it's really good to know, especially since we're working in it now, but I do think that would be really helpful.
and the only reason I bring it up now is because you can't do that on the web base.
Do what?
The markups. You can't remove the track.
Okay, so one of the most important things that I do, probably everybody in here, is I pull up last month's agenda or whatever, and now I'm gonna do this month's or tomorrow's agenda by saving as, changing the date, changing the name.
I
Can
gotta,
you do an
that-
example of that?
Yes.
That's probably the one thing I would.
I have a
like to
perfect,
walk away
a
with.
perfect
I think that
solution for you.
Because I don't, I need to see what we did last time, what are we gonna
Can
change?
we do one for Oklahoma? What you pick your client, Barbara.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald House,
Ronald
Oklahoma.
McDonald House, yeah.
Well,
Of course, that would be assuming that I've got all my addresses on.
we
the-
can
on the
use this
cloud.
one for the same
Yeah, okay,
because
that's fine.
it would be the same. So go to save as.
Okay, which one are you in? Are you in the first one that you opened or the
See,
second
you
one?
gotta start from the folder.
Yeah,
Okay,
start
So
from the
start
beginning.
from the document.
Yeah,
Okay.
Start from the very beginning.
So-
And we're gonna in a new
SharePoint
SharePoint
We're in the
folder.
SharePoint, we're in the agenda and notes folder, and we need to make the agenda for next week. So you click into the last one, you wanna make a copy. In Google, we would just go click make a copy. Same thing here. You will go to save as. Wait,
It's the top one. No.
It was the top one.
Save as, and then it's the top choice on the right.
Save as, save a copy online, all the way to the top.
Oh.
Okay, let me,
The floppy disk with a
before you
pencil.
change that, save as, but we also are renaming it.
Yes.
so it will pop up with this.
Okay.
So when
Okay.
you go to rename it, the difference between what we used to do in Google and what we do now in this is when you make the save as copy, it doesn't open up a new window. So when we would make a copy in Google, you would have the original that you opened, and then it would open a new window with your copy.
Right.
This doesn't do that. This creates the copy,
And that's where you're
and that's what you're in. So it's a
So we
little
can change the agenda to say 10-9.
10:9,
And
and
then
it-
start.
and then just start going.
Okay.
And it will archive the
And
previous
where does it put
version
it? Is it
in the same folder that you created.
So there's lots of ways you can do this, because I do it differently. So, but there are lots of ways that you can save your document differently. So this is the best practice.
So it's kind of back to the old traditional way of Word where you would save a copy or save as, and that would make another copy. It's still that same idea, but just differs from Google in the fact that you're already on the copy.
That's
And
better.
it
That's
archives
good.
it in the folder that you created it in.
Okay.
So if you were to make a copy, somehow you were in your attachments in your OneDrive, then it wouldn't be in the client folder.
That's why you always want to start in the folder that you're in, especially if you're in a client folder. You want to work out of that folder.
Right. So if you're in the agenda folder and you create it in the agenda folder, that's where it'll be. If you just go over here, well, I'm in admin. So.
Don't do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Okay.
Just
I think
do
we
that.
got Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think we got it.
Question, and I know you said we need to have a different session.
No.
So we don't want to talk about this right now. We can talk about it when we have that next session. I loved in Google the way you could click like suggestions or directly edit, and you can't do that here, I know. So how do we, I want to understand it to make sure that basically if you do track changes, you're kind of making suggestions, but you have to turn it on. And it is not as visible, I think, as when you were in Google, because it was kind of on the right-hand side. It was so simple and clear and easy to see, but you have to kind of go looking for the track changes thing. And I'm thinking of last week when we were editing a document, Laura, and
Did
made
I,
some edits, but
that
I couldn't
somehow
see
I
your
got the
edits.
track changes on and couldn't get it off. That was
I don't
probably.
know how
So I think,
Yeah.
Tony, this is a
That
really
was
good
the
point.
document.
It would be great if you could find a video for us on review and the full functionality and how to track and add and do all of that. That'd be
Right.
great if we could get that on that site for everyone to start looking at. And then I think the next time we get together, I would like to have a more intense training on how to do that.
Right.
I think we're fumbling our way now.
Yeah, I'm wanting to say that I actually had found some stuff
Okay.
that was pre-done by Microsoft themselves, like
Okay.
little videos.
Yeah.
So
I would-
I can put those links out there if I find them again,
Okay.
and I'll leave one on that.
So what I'm
site.
hearing Shay say though, is if it is a document that you have been using as a review
It's already on, yeah.
function, we've got to just make sure that before you send it to the client, that you've done.
The markup.
Because I, by accident, hit tracking. I don't know how I did, all of a sudden it started coming up.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get it off, even saying no marking, like that. I sent it to Laura and I said, oh my God, there it is, and with all the markups, which is our greatest fear ever.
Yes. It is clunky. I agree. And
I we never could get that off. I don't know, and it was just like, I'm
the desktop app, you couldn't disable it?
I could disable it on mine, but if we were working
She sent it to
collaboratively,
me?
when she opened it, it would have chat.
That's why that's been happening to me
Have
too.
you accepted all the changes?
They weren't, it wasn't an op, they were
You
not.
don't-
It wasn't an option.
You don't have an
It
accept
wasn't-
in
it
that
wasn't an
section.
option.
We're doing that's happened for.
You do
a
have an
long
accept option.
Well, if you accept it, you still have to remove it.
I don't know.
I don't know,
They
but
figured it
it's
out.
something that is, if we could have, if y'all could figure out how to get out of that, because
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
That's why.
There is another
Yeah.
button in there that says to not track changes anymore.
Right.
So anyway, this
It
is
sounds
where I
like she
think-
was clicking that.
Yeah,
It
it
wasn't-
sounds
I clicked it back, but I was like,
Yeah,
oh
we'll
my
have to look
God,
at
and I tried to go back, and then I thought I'd taken it off, and sent it to Laura, and there it
It
was.
used to not be able to turn off in the older versions of Word.
Yeah.
This one has a little function. I think we need to learn more about it.
I have an older version of Word.
I think
that
it
could
was-
easily
that
be
might be
it. That may be it.
I mean, this is not.
So this is the point that I think Shay was bringing up, is that what your version is on your computer for Word, right?
And we would give you our brand new version for free if you want.
That's
Have
right.
it on your computer.
Yeah, everybody has the license for it. If you have an MDL account, you have a license for Office 2016 that comes along with it. Yeah.
You will not be able to open in the desktop app.
It's been working. I made a change that made it work. You and I can go through making sure.
Okay, so I'm kind of looking, one thing that we heard is the converting to PDF. We just want a little bit more instruction on how to do that easy, right? The second thing I heard is we want some more detail and training around how to review a document, that the dual editing piece. What were the other things that I heard that we for sure want to follow up on? The one is access to prior client folders. Good. I know one time, Barbara, you had mentioned, what do I do like when I'm out somewhere and I want to get access to something? Something I did with Tony is I downloaded the OneDrive app on my phone, and I actually have found that to be really, it saved me twice this week. Because I didn't have my computer and I could get in and look at the OneDrive, but I leave everything in SharePoint. It allowed me to get in to look right into the client folders from the icon. And in fact, I sent my Charitable Gift Planners board meeting agenda through this app. I literally pulled it up and it'll tell you, do you want to email? You can email it. So I actually emailed the agenda to all of my board from my phone. So like, if you just even are with somebody and you want to reference and you don't have it there, I think the OneDrive kind of thing is really
So it's a
good.
OneDrive
It's
app.
called OneDrive app, but it has, and I'm happy to share mine with you so you can see. You actually go to libraries and it just pulls up all of the different folders and it lets you get in and look at something remotely.
So which password do you use? Are you using your master MDL password?
I don't have to log in because I set everything up
Oh, so
ahead
it's
of
saved
time,
in.
so it's all synced.
See, that's
Oh, good
through
question.
your OnePass.
Right, well, this is not through my OnePass. This isn't through my OnePass.
You're on camera.
It isn't. We didn't set this up for OnePass.
You have to use that password to get into it though.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it is
we set it
your-
up
So you probably haven't logged out, that's why.
Well, yeah.
Right. Yeah, once you log in the first time,
But
it's
not my
there.
app. How many of
stays
you
there.
log out of your app?
No, it
Yeah.
stays there.
But it's secure because it's in my OnePass securely.
Oh,
my
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
And then my phone is secure.
Sure. Well, that's good to have that.
I like it.
Yeah, that's nice.
I wanted
They've
Go
got
ahead.
something automated, Barbara.
Yeah.
Because I tried to do that too, and then it prompted me for the password, which is automatic, and so then I was.
So I set this up with Tony,
Yeah.
so maybe just talk with him, because this is, Tony helped me set this up.
Sure,
and,
that's great.
I really-
One thing I did want to mention real quick on the ones that like you open it and it doesn't look right. If you click the header right here, you can see that the logo is in the header. So if you're like, why does this not look right? But I know it had it on there last month or last week. If you go here, it will print with that on there.
And I'm glad you're bringing that up. The other thing that we knew is with all of the changes that have been made, even like the new logo and all the formats and quote unquote templates or formats for agendas and reports and so forth, we knew that they were great. We had them working in Google, but we knew when we moved over to Microsoft that there were going to be some wonky things that have happened, and they have happened. So we found that we need to get back, Shay and I and Laura need to get back in and kind of reformat some things so that they're ready for you to go. It just, the transfer kind of moved some things around in their functionality as well. The other thing is if you go to the clients engagements folder, the clients folder, does everybody have to go, yeah, to the clients? Don't we have up there that report cover?
Yeah,
Okay.
but go in and look up agenda,
Yeah, it's wonky, Barbara, because we haven't
because
been
I did
able
that
to.
yesterday.
Yeah, it won't, it's not formatted. We haven't had time to get in and do all of that.
That's what I got.
But now, this is
Oh,
what
right. And I
This
I
is
want you to
what
know,
I'm
I was so
But
good,
look-
I even got out the book that said, you know, whatever that, hey, you're supposed to do anything, the pictures and all, I was like, agenda.
But so look at this one here.
I mean, that's right, I thought that was real.
Yeah, Barb, look though. Can you show her what you just did?
Yeah, so
So
I,
it's actually there.
it's really there.
Yeah.
You just
I've never seen that.
don't know.
Why don't you guys?
So-
I think it's that way for speed reasons.
So when you open in your Microsoft desktop app that's still in the cloud, not downloaded, just opened as, then there it is.
So has anybody used that template? 'Cause
I have
because
not.
I always go back to old ones and it doesn't look as pretty as that, so.
Well, that's where we put, I actually suggested we put the templates that are the updated ones in the client folder, because that's where you go. Instead of
That's
having to go to
because the way
another
it's
place.
And you have two folders that,
Because the
It's
whole
almost
thing
like a
is like a
shortcut.
background.
Oh, it's
And
giant,
so
That's a good
it's
question.
giant.
Yeah.
transparent GIF.
Like a
Yeah.
desktop.
yeah,
Tony, can you do a shortcut?
Shortcut, I'm sorry, I was,
so you know how it's templates, but we'd have to go in the other folder to get it, and she was saying just put the templates right in your client folder, so we're all clicking on clients, and then our current clients pop up. Could a shortcut to the templates folder also be in our client folder?
It is, right now. Oh, not in your, a link. I see what you're
A link to that folder, so that it's not two folders, but it appears in both.
if it's something that you use a lot, it should show up as a frequently used.
Well,
Right.
no, I don't trust
Well,
those links,
and-
Joanne.
And where did you put that link?
Where we had it.
Frequently used.
You can pin it to the top, right?
But so
I think you can, yeah, you can.
this is
you
part of why we put it in the client engagements, so that it's there in the client section, right?
Oh,
So what you're saying is like when Laura, if we get a new account, and she sets you up in that, there are two ways that you could get to kind of the templates. One is when you can just get to the folder naturally in the client engagement site,
Okay,
or Laura could set up a link within that folder that you just click in and it'll take you to that.
okay.
And you can like pin it to the top
Yeah,
or do different
And
things.
When you pin them on our like homepage or whatever, there's a list of pins there. Will it be there, I assume?
If you pin it, that's where it should show up.
So that would give it to you on your homepage.
so did
There
you
you
see
go.
that?
You
If you
see how
pin
it's
it-
pinned up there?
Okay.
But they go back to home and see if
I
it's
did, but
there.
I think that's all I
So I have a
Oh,
question.
no, further back.
Backwards a little bit, but,
Karen has a question.
I heard you
She wants
say
to go to
this
the actual
earlier, Jill.
SharePoint,
So Tony,
where all the groups are.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then it'll give you, sorry,
Mhm.
Karen.
no, that's
Scroll
okay.
down,
I don't
scroll
want to
down.
interrupt your.
Is it there?
It's different than mine.
It does, because you
She's got more
have
stuff.
primary sites, so go to your,
Okay, Karen, go
It's
ahead,
up
let me
there.
play with
Okay.
this. Yeah.
So y'all said in the email, when you want to attach something, click go to cloud locations. And then I clicked groups, and my two groups are your technical knowledge base and the resource library.
That's what I have.
The client folders are not there. And you said that was your problem earlier, which is why I'm bringing it up. Two people at
And
least
if
have
you
this
go
problem.
to the SharePoint site, it should show up as, you should be able to follow it. I'll take a look at that
I think
But
I know
I'm
why.
trying to attach to an
Tony,
email.
I think I might know why.
Cause I can't get the SharePoint from the attachment.
When I did that, the same thing happened to me too. And I think I have an idea, but we'll talk about it and then.
And it might be the way it was shared, or it could be that you just click the star.
So when you and I were on the phone together, you saw that, and then you did a few workarounds, and then you said that that's probably something we need to fix.
Right, and that was the one that someone shared to you from an outside organization, right? When we were looking at it, somebody had shared it with you. somewhere else.
Maybe, but then when I was trying to attach
Oh,
it,
You're texting me about it.
We'll have to look at it.
Yeah, I don't have resources on my shared drive.
Yeah, I don't know if she's not giving you the.
Craniofacial stuff, so what are we talking
I don't have resources.
did you share craniofacial with me?
No.
Okay, because I have it.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it's now showing up here. I have no idea.
So that's what it is, you're following.
But like,
It's showing, it was shared on
Thing.
Tuesday, what day is today?
because it's.
After you
client
click,
engagement
after you
as
click
well.
follow,
I
sometimes
know.
it takes a
I
minute
had
for
it
it to
taken,
show
but I was
up.
already following.
You were already, that should be in there.
Stop sharing.
Like I can go to reach.
Shouldn't I have a resource?
Did you share that with me?
If she shared it.
Was that what it was?
Oh, so Laura,
Correct.
You should put something.
Ladder line.
No, before ladder.
So when I'm going to manage, to add and real quick to that, to
To the resource
craniofacial,
ladder?
it's doing that thing, which one do I click? And Robot or Annabelle Robot? It's not showing which one is the right email.
Is it Adele?
When you're sharing it to her, it's it's first name, not last name.
Yeah, I can't see that.
Adele.
So hit search. Does it say search under there? You start typing her name.
Yeah, I mean, it's pulling those up, but there's
What if you
no
just
way
put
for
a
me to
period
know
right
the
now?
email.
What if you put a period right now with that and tell you?
I like that function, but yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah, she's got it starred on find engagements, and it's still not showing up.
Okay, we'll have to figure out why that might be.
Did you pull the offense?
I actually like the function when you're in the document and it just automatically pulls it up as
Just like to the chat.
Just like it is, yeah.
But she's not able to,
She's not even seeing
through
it.
groups, able to get to find engagement.
Okay, yeah, well, you can see why that is.
It might, I've
Would it be in
used
settings?
I don't know.
Well, I'm wondering, I'm
I'm
wondering if, at what level your share is. So I need to look at your permissions, because I'm wondering if it's a permissions issue. If,
She is following it, but I don't know what it is.
yeah, but I'm wondering if, because remember we broke inheritance to
Yeah.
set up the subfolders. I'm wondering if maybe she's only in a subfolder, or does she have
But she
all
should be
access?
able to get to find engagement.
Right,
She
right,
has all access.
right. So I'll have to look and see why that is.
There's some,
Because I'm seeing the same thing here.
okay,
But I'm not totally sure yet.
lunch is here, right? Yeah. Do you want to continue working through everything or?
There's one other thing I wanted to hit for sure.
Yeah.
And this is mostly for associates. And again, this is just a suggestion of ways that may help with working through, you know, if you have multiple customers that you're dealing with, and you have multiple like, email accounts that you're dealing with, you may even have multiple, like Clint, is that his name, Clint? He has like, when I got on his computer, he had like 5 different Office 365 accounts. And which, that's how I am. I have a whole bunch of Office 365 accounts that I have to log into daily. And it becomes cumbersome because Chrome will get confused with where you're trying to log in, and it'll ask you, are you trying to log in here, you're trying to log in there. So what I figured out is in Chrome, and you may already know this is here, but in Chrome, if you click, let me get in mine. Let me start from the beginning. So this is how Chrome usually looks when I open it. In the upper right-hand corner is my, it's my Google account, and this is my profile. But if you click on this upper profile link in Chrome, and you go down to Manage People, and I set you up this way actually. You've already got yours set. You can create and add another group. Like I added MGA, and then what's cool about that is it treats Chrome as if it were completely separate from all of the other Chrome functions of Chrome. So extensions, favorites, everything is now in here, completely separate from my other
So
account.
do you click add a person and?
Yes, and I name it MGA, and
And
so
the person, then the reason to do that is,
if you have a lot of accounts that you're logging into for like Office 365 or OneDrive or anything that you're doing multiples of, where because sometimes Chrome will get sideways with you on what account you're trying to log into. I don't know if you remember, originally I had told everybody to use the incognito, that would solve the problem, and it does. But this is so much easier because then you can set up your favorites. You can set your little bars across the top. You can set your one password up in here. There's a lot of things you can do. And then when you're just working MGA, you just click your MGA profile, boom, you're in there, and you just work out of there. And it's almost like having
Separate desktop.
a separate desktop. That's exactly where I was going with it. It's almost like having a separate desktop on your system.
Yeah.
It just, for me, it's been a big help when I figured this out. I only figured it out about a month ago. It's been a big deal because I've got like 10 different Office 365 accounts that I manage. And what would happen is I'd pull up Office 365, I'd go to log into an account, and they go, is it this account or this account? It'll ask me, and then I'll change it, and then I'll say, well, you need to put the password in. Is it for this account or this account? It asks me like 4 times. But this way,
You can set that up for your account if you're on Google too, can't you? Would you need to?
I don't know that you would, but
Okay.
you can have different extensions in here. It's almost like you're on a completely different computer inside Chrome, as far as Chrome is concerned.
Okay.
When you do this, it really separates everything out. It just makes stuff a lot easier. Like I can go to Office, and it just remembers everything. Where I was. I can set my tabs and Salesforce and everything up here, and then when I'm not working on MGA stuff, I'm back in my own profile. I can go up here and take my guitar classes. They're not in my way. So that was really the only other thing that I had.
I think that was it.
I have a task list now, so I have things to go look at.
So let's plan in January to kind of go through a training on the review and editing piece of it. And then by that time, I think we'll be clearer about the protocol and setup for sharing a document. That's a live document, which really is most applicable for feasibility studies. Laura will work on that. And we'll
What's her
have
email? Oh, it's the
ideas
weird
on how to set
email.
all
no,
that.
it's not clear anymore. She's got it.
Could you tell us a little bit that what you sent us today? What should we use that for? It's called the technology.
Yeah, I just threw useful information that I thought might be handy in there. You have like
installing the application.
yeah. So if you click that, it shows you it shows you step by step how to install it on your phone. How to attach a copy. There's a video in there. You can watch that. I just put stuff in there I thought might be
Okay.
And then
handy.
I think after the team call last week, I sent an email to everybody too, links on that.
It's .net,
That has
right?
other helpful things to look at. And I'll just take that and copy it and put it in
Put
the
it in there.
technology drive. One other thing before we wrap up, Shay might have more to add. I was thinking to just cancel our team call on Monday. Since we're all together here today, I don't know that there's anything more that we need to discuss, if that's okay with everyone. Yes, yeah.
I saw that on the
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. Yeah, you want to get ahead of the holiday. Yeah. Is there anything, few reminders, I guess, of meetings? We didn't get into client updates.
No, I just have a couple, really one thing, that Missy asked that I share. Just more general, whenever we have, especially in campaigns, but whenever we have a big gift or something come through for a client, please don't hesitate to send an email just to let everybody know, because as we know, when you're out in the community, people put those connections together that we're with MGL and we have that client, so we all kind of need to know,
Sure, that's
good
good.
things.
Oh, sure.
Just who's giving, like if someone got a Carter gift, maybe it's good for us to all know. I was just gonna put that out there. If anyone has any big updates, exciting gifts that have come through, or things that are converting that you wanted to announce, now's the time.
You should sit our last webinar for
Yeah.
one month. And thank you everybody for helping.
Good.
Yeah, we did the summit in January.
That, you know what, we should probably put those in the resource library.
Oh, Lord.
So can you tell us what that was?
Yeah,
I
so
don't
it
really know
was,
what that
so One
was.
World Everybody Eats is, everybody eats, is, a national organization, it's an umbrella organization for pay what you can cafes around the country. And Julie Williams and her husband Jeff opened Taste Project here in Fort Worth a few years ago. So she's now the chair of One World Everybody Eats the National, and she wanted to help professionalize the organization. The founder just left, and now she's taking over. And so she and I have been talking since here June, and it came because a woman on her board is also on the board of the Southwest Christian School. And so we did 4 webinars. That was what we decided on, like, what does that professional development look like?
Because they're located all around the country.
Right. And so in this room, we broadcasted live nationwide. And so the first one, Karen was with me. The second one was Laura. Then it was Barbara. And then it was Ann. We walked them through how to do a development plan. What is the cultivation, solicitation, stewardship cycle look like? What does reporting to your stakeholders look like? And what we did yesterday was the ask. And then this culminates with a summit in February. Missy's going to give the keynote. And then 4 of us will be on hand to do one-on-one sessions with any of their cafe owners coming to the summit. So it's good. And then their summit is going to be all about fundraising and governance. So Julie's really hoping it's going to be a lot of board members as well as staff. And then we get to do hands-on with them one-on-one sessions. So
Cool.
yeah, it's fun. Something new. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to have to download a copy because it sits on their platform. That's what I was just thinking. I just didn't know if there was a way for me.
It'll only let you download them if you are one of the people in the restaurants. Because I tried.
She gave me access. Like, I'm a member of their Office 365 now.
Then you could download it.
That's what I just want to ask her if it's
Yeah.
okay so that we can keep it as an internal resource.
Yeah.
I mean, not that everyone's gonna sit and watch.
Oh,
4
yeah, they
hours
are.
there. That's talking. But
It was fun though. They're cute.
yeah, they were fun.
You have a great point from just in terms of you're getting ready to do a presentation on development plan, listening to what you talked about, and Barb, you did a great job in yours about just keeping track of things and reports. So, I mean, I just thought I learned something
I
from
learned
watching,
a ton working with each of you. Oh my gosh.
and I thought it was important that I was trying to build on what y'all said so that we weren't either contradicting or and I made reference to what y'all said too. So I think
That was great. Yeah. Good job.
I am really proud of Presbyterian Night Shelter. They are in a campaign, a $5.8 million campaign that had 3 different initiatives to it. And we did the study, and in the study, in the campaign plan, is that their benchmark for their first year of fundraising, which would be April 2020, they would reach 3.5 million. And right now they're sitting at 5 million.
Wow.
With another probably 2.7 that will probably close by the end of December. So I'm really excited for them. The staff have done a really great job. And
What's the project for?
it's for the renovation of the men's shelter and supporting Clean Slate and some initiatives with Clean Slate. So it's been exciting.
Some general campus improvements.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
heard
on the
lately. Is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
So you recently finished a feasibility study for the Heritage?
We haven't
Art
finished
or-
that yet. We have one more interview. So right now, that was testing a $20 million philanthropic goal for Heritage Haddock Parks renovation. And we're just putting together the pieces of the puzzle. Our study came back really saying that there wasn't really full support for a full-on campaign unless someone comes forward with a very large lead gift. So we have one more person. I'm getting that settled now to meet with John Campbell next week, and we'll do their final reports. This one's a public-private partnership, so it's really kind of an interesting dynamic for us. It's just not a straight-out philanthropic nonprofit organization, which Downtown Inc. is, but this is part of a public-private partnership. So we've got a few more players in there that we need to communicate with through Downtown Inc. So anyway, we just had our kind of meeting with them, letting them know what we thought the preliminary results are. So we gave them kind of 3 different options. And then we'll work forward from there, making our final presentation to them in December.
Yeah, we still don't have resolution on that yet because we're still waiting to hear back on a couple of things. So we'll know hopefully 2 or 3 weeks what direction they're moving in. interview that donor that we know we would need to get their facility. So.
You know, obviously on the opposite end of that, in terms of, you know, we all move on big development plans and big campaigns. Missy got a call from this Children's Craniofacial Association, and they're less than $1 million. They didn't have enough money to do a real full-blown strategic plan. So Friday afternoon and all day Saturday last week, I did a planning session for them, and I used the TOPS methodology light, if you will. And it was taking an organization from where they thought that fundraising is having events to try to really turn that tide. So there were probably about 14 people, their staff, there were about 4 or 5 people, and then about 10, 12 board members. And they're from all over the country. So Children's Craniofacial is national, they're based out of Dallas. And just hearing them talk about their struggles in terms of just trying to get traction for people to understand what Children's Craniofacial is about was fascinating. And we ended up with some implementation steps for the next several months, at least get them try to start identifying ways to raise money besides having events. So it was interesting, and they felt energized, and that's one of the things they just felt like they've been putting out fires they were 30 years old, y'all, 30-year-old organization, and they're really trying to get their fundraising act together. It was very rewarding personally and professionally.
Anna, do you want to talk about SCS and that?
I'm forgetting who it is.
Well, because it was a new family that they weren't.
Oh, yes. It was someone on the prospect list that they had marked for what, 5,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
And they ended up giving 500.
300,000.
Okay, why did you ask me?
Sorry.
Sorry. Obviously, I'm not, anyways, 300,000. So I haven't heard the latest. So after that, that would probably put them,
It's like 9.9.
yeah, it's almost 10.
Once it's all, but what I just found out is that 300,000 is going to be a wire transfer like before Thanksgiving of $150,000, and then the rest coming in, I think, in another wire.
Was it a prospect that was in the feasibility study or just somebody
I
that
don't think
said?
so.
low.
It was the Hodnets.
The who?
Hodnets. Like HOD.
Yeah, I don't remember that name.
TTS.
Who's the
Yeah.
now? Barbara, I don't know the name either.
So are they able to work?
They are, but they have kids at another school. I think it might be Trinity Valley. And they're new to the school and never made a gift. And he met with them thinking, so Tara, who works, she's their campaign manager, had them thinking we can meet with them now, but it might even be a community campaign gift. And so she was embarrassed because she was like, I haven't waited. We knew they had huge capacity, but we just didn't think they would do it.
Oh, but y'all knew that.
history.
Okay.
Yeah.
You really know history.
So she called and said, so I have a process question. Whenever you identify someone as, maybe 1,000 to 5,000, what do you do on the pipeline whenever they get 300,000? And I said, well, you get excited.
Yeah, you have a super awesome problem on your hands.
They just like to read.
Did they
So
do
what-
the ask or did the people offer?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know yet.
So, how old is their child in school? Do you know that? Lower school or upper
I
school?
think it's lower.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is. So
They're keep them happy. right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Out of like.
That's wonderful.
So it makes me wonder why their Southwest Christian campaign didn't work with teachers that.
Because they didn't have
I
that.
don't think they were asking or something, because that's what he's doing. That's the way.
No, they had their council was Bitsy and Henderson and Sid Mallory and Tim Placica.
And they had done the feasibility study.
So if this is, I don't know. but-
I think that's around the time that the headmaster left and there was a lot of politics with her leaving. So I think that's why things fell apart.
So Brian being in place, as long as he has been in and shown improvement, is what's helping
He's done
people
the majority of
give
that.
people some trust in what they're doing.
And the thing with him is
Really
he's
good.
completely shameless, which makes him so great for the asks. I always, like, my theater students at my women's college were my far best fundraisers on the phone. Because they just shamelessly ask, which is what the donor wants, not beating around the bush, whatever.
Yeah.
And Brian just lets all of that go and is very direct. And if you're in front of him, he's with you. And I think just that his presence is so
He's also very genuine and grateful, so it's
Yeah.
a good,
And he's a
Really
giver.
good.
That's a really he's already get personally given too.
yes, that's.
He's very smart, and his project is just like in his bones.
Well, is he taking advice well?
I mean, I think so.
Look at Jill. Look at
Yeah.
Jill.
I wanted to see what her reaction was. He'll
Brian,
take advice, he'll take,
Brian.
when he remembers it and he sees how it works, he'll take it.
But he is one that like comes in and you never know what he's gonna spring